but there are other. Witchcraft is not restricted to all of that mythology that you are used to, even as Africans. Perhaps a couple of elements of those things actually do factor in, but there are other weapons, there are other spiritual weapons that also exist, and they are made more potent or more powerful when the victims are not aware that it's a weapon. So something will just be doing you, but you cannot tell why it's doing you, how it's doing you, where it's coming from, because your scope for concerning what is a malicious threat is limited to a very tiny range, right? So when we talk about witchcraft, when we talk about sorcery, when we talk about even spiritual warfare, a lot of people, especially in Africa, think it is limited to the Ojuju you saw growing up or in Nollywood movies and all of those things. Maybe I cannot prove or disprove those ones, but the one I can prove, right, is that the majority of what we would attribute spiritual warfare comes down to something that is very powerful, but easily goes unnoticed and it goes undetected, and that is psychological warfare, right? And psychological warfare uses tools that are in plain sight. Words. We all know that words are powerful, but I don't think we actually live our lives with the full knowledge and understanding of how powerful words can be. And so there are sorcerers who are exceptionally good at the magic of using words to project imagery and imaginations in mass to people's minds in order to manipulate their decisions, all right? And none other organizations than media organizations, social media, mainstream media. As a matter of fact, even the smaller players like the influencers in all sectors, they're all skilled at using these words and projections and images to manipulate the way you think, therefore manipulating how you act, therefore manipulating the choices that you make, and that's how destinies get manipulated out of relevance, all right? So when I say there shall be no sorcery against a certain person, that's exactly what I mean. It's not limited to just the popular witchcraft that you are aware of, okay? So with that understanding, I want you to make this confession with a lot of meaning, all right? So against Jacob, nor any divination against Israel. It now must be said of Jacob and of Israel, oh, this verse, if you go, what happened before that verse was said, it was actually, this is actually almost the conclusion of the story of Balaam and the donkey, right? So an enemy king wanted to destroy the Israelites. I think it was the king of Moab. His name was Balak. He wanted to destroy the Israelites, but he knew that man to man, he could not fight them, all right? He probably would not win a conventional battle with the Israelites. So he said, you know what, rather than use that, let me use spiritual warfare to attack them. So he went to hire a very powerful sorcerer called Balaam to help him curse them. Now, because of the way most of you remember the story, you wouldn't realize that there were some deeper intricacies to that story. It wasn't just, oh, go and curse them, and he went to curse them, and then an angel came. You know, read, as I said, don't depend on pulpits to understand spiritual truth. If you wish to take spiritual truth from whether it's Christianity or Islam, don't depend on the pulpit. Go and read it for yourself, line by line. Right? So if you read the story of Balaam by yourself, you'll see that Balaam had specific preparations for curses he was going to send. He had to go and stand on a particular high place. There's a place he had to go and stand, a very high place he had to go and stand and prepare an altar. And on that altar, he was supposed to do a sacrifice, which he did. And after doing the sacrifice was when he was now supposed to start putting out those curses, all right? So his was that since we can't fight them physically, let us start projecting. He had to stand in a particular high place and face a particular direction and then start saying curses toward them and making those projections. Usually when that thing is projected, the Israelites themselves will destroy themselves. They will start acting weird. You know, as a matter of fact, let me just open it myself. This is Confessions, but it's important. Just bear with me. I need to open this. All right. So the whole story starts from Numbers chapter 22. And when I'm reading this, please, we're still doing confessions, all right? Stay within this, okay? Stay in the spirit or in the mind of this thing. We're still doing confessions. Before we do the confession, I need you to understand the spirit of the confession, all right? I need you to understand that. So we have to go back and read it. I don't want you to just be saying things. There shall be no, understand it, because you are in the same position as these people were. I told you guys that one of the reasons why I rate Old Testament, all right? One of the reasons I rate Old Testament is that, you know, X minus the historical whatever, when I read the Old Testament for myself, I saw that the Old Testament is almost a picture of us. I don't know if those stories actually happened. I was not there. I'm not here to vouch for the Bible. However, by the grace of God, I'm blessed with a gift of pattern recognition. All right. By the grace of God, I'm very good at pattern recognition. I read some stories and I'm like, oh my God, this thing is us. This thing that they're writing here is the exact same thing our generation is going through, but it's coded in different words and in a different time and for a different people. But it's the same thing we're going through now. All right. And as I began to read them over and over again, multiple stories, whether it's the good characters or the bad characters in the Old Testament, they're talking about us today. All right. So when I read this story, you'll understand better what I mean. Okay. So let me go into here. Now read the beginning. It starts from Numbers chapter 22. I'm using the New King James Version. It says, then the children of Israel moved. When it says the children of Israel, I want you to put your name here because you put your name later as we get to the confession, okay? Put your name here. Maybe children of Israel, put your name. Maybe your name is Success Adobe. Your name is Chidima Antonia. Your name is Dennis Okonkwo. All right, in your mind, you see that they're talking about us right now. All right, then the children of Israel moved and camped in the plains of Moab on the side of the Jordan across from Jericho. Now, Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. Hold on. Let's do this with some practicality. All right, I'm coming. Let me look for somebody's name. Dennis Okonkwo. Let me use Dennis. Yeah. So now Dennis moved and camped. Now Dennis Okonkwo moved and camped in the plains of Moab on the side of the Jordan across from Jericho. Now Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Dennis had done to the Amorites. So Dennis was a very mighty man, and Dennis had done crazy. He had conquered the Amorites. All right, and now Balak, the king of Moab, he saw it and says, and Moab was exceedingly afraid of the people. He was exceedingly afraid of Dennis Okonkwo because they were many. Dennis was mighty. And Moab was sick with dread. That is, was very afraid because of how mighty Dennis Okonkwo was. All right. There we go. So Moab said to the elders of Midian, now, Success Adobe will lick up everything around us as an ox licks up the grass of the field. And Balak, son of Zippor, was king of the Moabites at the time. Then he sent messengers to Balaam, the son of Beor, at Pethor, which is near the river in the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, look, Success Adobe has come from Egypt. Look at how she covers the face of the earth, and she is settling next to me. Therefore, please come at once and curse Success Adobe for me, because she is too mighty for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat Success Adobe and drive her out of the land, for I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed. All right? Let's keep it going. So the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the diviner's fee in their hand, the Balaam field. And they came to Balaam and spoke to him the words of Balak. And he said to them, lodge here tonight, and I will bring back word to you as the Lord speaks to me. So the princes of Moab stayed with Balaam. Then God came to Balaam and said, who are these men with you? So Balaam said to God, Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has said to me, saying, look, Anjola Oluwa has come out of Egypt, and she covers the face of the earth. Come now, curse Anjola for me. Perhaps I shall be able to overpower Anjola and drive her out. And God said to Balaam, you shall not go with them. You shall not curse Anjola Oluwa, for she is blessed. All right? Let me get somebody else's name. Let me use Lizzie Olabi. Yeah. And the princes, okay, so Balaam rose in the morning and said to the princes of Balak, go back to your land, for the Lord has refused to give me permission to go with you. And the princes of Moab rose and went to Balak and said, Balaam refuses to come with us. Then Balak again sent princes, more numerous and more honorable than they. And they came to Balaam and said to him, thus says Balak, son of Zippor, please let nothing hinder you from coming to me, for I will certainly honor you greatly, and I will do whatever you say to me. Therefore, please come, curse Lizzie Owolabi for me. Then Balaam answered and said to the servants of Balak, though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go beyond the word of the Lord my God, to do less or more. Now therefore, please, you also stay here tonight, that I may know what more the Lord will say to me. And God came to Balaam at night and said to him, if the men come to call you, rise and go with them, but only the word which I speak to you, that you shall do. So Balaam rose in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went to the princes of Moab. Then God's anger was aroused because he went. Very confusing. And the angel of the Lord took his stand in the way as an adversary against him. And he was riding on his donkey, and his two servants were with him. So this is the only part that most churchgoers know, because that's the only part that they normally preach. We're going to go through the whole thing now. All right, verse 23. Now the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand. And the donkey turned aside out of the way and went into the field. So Balaam struck the donkey to turn her back onto the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in a narrow path between the vineyards, with the wall on his side and the wall on that side. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she pushed herself against the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall. So he struck her again. Then the angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place where there was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left. And when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam. So Balaam's anger was aroused, and he struck the donkey with his staff. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, what have I done to you, that you have struck me these 3 times? And Balaam said to the donkey, because you have abused me. I wish there were a sword in my hand, for now I would kill you. So the donkey said to Balaam, am I not your donkey on which you have ridden ever since I became yours to this day? Was I ever disposed to do this to you? And he said, no. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand. And he bowed his head and fell flat on his face. And the angel of the Lord said to him, why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out to stand against you, because your way is perverse before me. The donkey saw me and turned aside from me these 3 times. If she had not turned aside from me, surely I would have also killed you by now and let her live. And Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I did not know you stood in the way against me. Now therefore, if it displeases you, I will turn back. Then the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, go with the men, but only the word that I speak to you, that you shall speak. Confusing, man. So Balaam went with the princess of Balak. Now, when Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at the city of Moab, which is on the border at the Arnon, the boundary of the territory. Then Balak said to Balaam, did I not earnestly send to you, calling for you? Why did you not come to me? Am I not able to honor you? And Balaam said to Balak, look, I have come to you. Now, have I any power at all to say anything? The word that God puts in my mouth, that I must speak. So Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kirjath Huzoth. Then Balak offered oxen and sheep. See? And he sent some to Balaam and to the princes who were with him. All right, first prophecy. So it was the next day that Balak took Balaam and brought him up to the high places of Baal. That's what I was looking for. All right, I need you guys to understand the essence of the confession. It's not just a regular verse. There was a whole history behind it. He didn't just want to curse them. There was some kind of spiritual preparation before all of those rituals, before that curse was supposed to happen. He was supposed to put it on a particular altar, all right, and do some other things. But note, all right, and the present day altar right now is mass media, television, radio, social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Open your eyes and open your ears, open your hearts and minds, right? So it was the next day that Balak took Balaam and brought him up to the high places of Baal, that from there he might observe the extent of Lizzie. These are the real monitoring spirits. So you want to observe the extent of the people. But these days, nobody has to observe anybody because everybody gives away their itinerary so easily. Small thing you don't post for Instagram story, but it's okay. All right, now that's the end of chapter 22. Then you flip to the next chapter, 23, the story continues. Then Balaam said to Balak, build 7 altars. So you have to build altars for me here. And remember where they were building the altars? At where? Let me go back. Where were they building the altars? Here, where? At the what? The high places of Baal. People call it Baal sometimes. Baal, Baal, whatever, man. You all know what I'm talking about. All right. So build 7 altars for me here and prepare for me here 7 bulls and 7 rams. There was a sacrifice on the 7 altars in the high places of Baal, a very high place where they could also observe them from afar. And Balak did just as Balaam had spoken. And Balak and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Okay. Now, once the ritual had been done, then Balaam said to Balak, stand by your burnt offering and I will go. Perhaps the Lord will come to meet me. And whatever he shows me, I will tell you. So he went to a desolate height. All right. I'll have to use somebody else's name now because the story is getting more interesting. The story is getting okay. Olayinka is getting greedy. Olayinka doesn't want to put just her name. She put her whole family. Okay, we'll use that. Okay. All right. Let's do it again. So verse 3. Then Balaam said to Balak, stand by your burnt offering and I will go. Perhaps the Lord will come to meet me. And whatever he shows me, I will tell you. So he went to a desolate height, a very high height. And God met Balaam and said, okay, not desolate, like desolate means like deserted, alone. And God met Balaam and said to him, I have prepared the 7 altars and have offered on each altar a bull and a ram. Then the Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, return to Balak and thus you shall speak. So he returned to him, and there he was, standing by his burnt offering. I feel like using my cinematic voice. Should I use my normal preacher voice, or should I get cinematic? What do you guys think? Cinematic voice or preacher voice? All right, as the spirit leads. All right, so he returned to him, and there he was, standing by his burnt offering, he and all the princes of Moab. So this is where the curses turned into blessings. And he took up his oracle, and said, Balak, the king of Moab, has brought me from Aram, from the mountains of the east. Come, curse Olayinka and her family for me. And come, denounce Olayinka and her family. How shall I curse whom God has not cursed? And how shall I denounce whom the Lord has not denounced? From the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills, from the top of the rocks I see Olayinka and her family, and from the hills I behold Olayinka and her family. There, Olayinka and her family, a people dwelling alone, not reckoning itself among the nations. Wait, NIV puts this thing very cinematically. That's not reckoning something. You have to see how NIV puts it. This New King James is not giving what it's supposed to give. I love how it puts it. Oh, this is it. Look at it again. Okay, so from the rocky peaks, I see Olayinka and her family. From the heights, I view Olayinka and her family. I see Olayinka and her family, a people who live apart and do not consider themselves one of the other motherfuckers. They do not consider themselves one of the other masses. They do not consider themselves one of the other, social media mob difference. They do not consider themselves as one of the, I've always been telling you guys that this whole thing is about segregation. There's nothing like all of us everybody can go. The gospel is for everybody. No, it's always about separation. Yeah. That's one reason why Israel, no matter what, I have my own reservations against the modern Israel, but one thing you can't take away from them, those guys, they don't care to mix or intermingle with you. They take pride in how different they are. I mean, even the modern day Israel. right? That's one of the reasons why modern Christianity is so weak and powerless, because they are so desperate. Their self-esteem is so low. They are so desperate to be accepted by everybody. They are so desperate to integrate with everybody. Israel, Jews, they don't care. Have you ever had a Jew? Have you ever had a Jew evangelizing to you? They are proud of how different they are from you. But here we go. I see a people who live apart and do not consider themselves one of the nations, who can count the dust of Olayinka and her family, or number even a fourth of Olayinka and her family. Let me die the death of the righteous, and may my final end be like Olayinka and her family. All right, let me get somebody else now. Okay, make this thing go round. Let me see. Who they inside here? They inside here. Ikechuku, let me do Ikechuku. All right. Balak then said to Balaam, "What have you done to me? I brought you to curse my enemies, but you have done nothing but bless them." Let me say it again. What have you done to me? I brought you to curse Ikechuku, but you have done nothing but bless Ikechuku. He answered, "Must I not speak what the Lord puts in my mouth?" All right, let's try again. Second time. Then Balak said to him, "Come with me to another place where you can see them." Is it monetary spirits? It's the monetary spirit. Now, human beings. I told you, stop looking at all these Ojuju spirits. When I say, when the Bible, when it says in, I think in 1 Peter 5 verse 8, I think it says, be sober, be vigilant. I told you guys before, be sober, be vigilant, for your adversary, the devil, walketh about like a roaring lion, seeking him to devour. I said that so-called roaring lion, no be devil, way there for your imagination. Now people, now human beings, when they look you, they monitor you, they find your weak points. All right. So come with me to another place where you can see them. You will not see them all, but only the outskirts of their camp. And from there, curse Ikechuku for me. So he took him to the field of Zophim on the top of Pisgah, and there he built another 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. You see the investments that this guy put into cursing these people, because he knew that the only way to get them was through psychological and spiritual warfare. All right, Balaam said to Balak, "Stay here beside your offering while I meet with him over there." The Lord met with Balaam and put a word in his mouth and said, "Go back to give Balaam this word." So he went back to him and found him standing beside his offering with the Moabite officials. Balak said to him, "What did the Lord say?" And he spoke his message. "Arise, Balak, and listen. Hear me, son of Zippor." This is what he's thinking. God is not human that he should lie, not a human being that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? I have received a command to bless Ikechuku. He has blessed Ikechuku, and I cannot change it. No misfortune is seen in Ikechuku. No misery observed in Ikechuku. The Lord, his God, is with him. The shout of the king is among Ikechuku. God has brought Ikechuku out of Egypt. Ikechuku has the strength of a wild ox. There is no, this is now where that 23 comes from. It says, there is no divination against Ikechuku, no evil omens against Ikechuku. It will now be said of Ikechuku and of Ikechuku, see what God has done. It keeps going on. Ikechuku rises like a lioness. Ikechuku, let me get somebody else's name. Ikechuku, don't enjoy this one. Let me get somebody else's name. Let me see who is here. Let me see. Victoria Oluwadare. Let me continue with Victoria. Ikechuku rises like a lioness. Ikechuku rouses herself like a lion. Sorry, I said Ikechuku again. Sorry, Victoria Oluwadare, no vex. All right, let me do it again. Victoria Oluwadare rises like a lioness. Victoria Oluwadare rouses herself like a lion that does not rest until Victoria Oluwadare devours her prey and drinks the blood of her victims. Then Balak said to Balaam, "You don't do neither curse Victoria Oluwadare at all, nor bless Victoria Oluwadare at all." Balaam answered, "Did I not tell you I must do whatever the Lord says?" Again, you know, stop. Balak said to Balaam, "Come, let me take you to another place. Perhaps it will please God to let you curse them for me from there." So they changed location again. And Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, overlooking the wasteland. Balaam said, "Build me 7 altars here and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me." Balak did as Balaam had said and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Right. Move on to the next. Now, when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Victoria Oluwadare, he did not resort to divination as at other times. He just used his own sense because he knows that the gist was not going to change. But turned his face towards the wilderness. When Balaam looked out and saw Victoria Oluwadare encamped, tribe by tribe, the Spirit of the Lord came upon him and he spoke this message. Let me use somebody else's name now. The only reason I'm using this name is that it's so easy to pronounce. His name is so easy to pronounce. That's why I picked this one. I don't want to cut my tongue today. All right. When Balaam looked out and saw, this is Felix Chomba. When Balaam looked out and saw Felix Chomba encamped tribe by tribe, the Spirit of God came upon him and he spoke his message. The prophecy of Balaam, son of Beor, the prophecy of one whose eye sees clearly. Eye of the gods. The prophecy of one who hears the words of God and sees a vision from the Almighty, who falls prostrate and whose eyes are opened. Oh my, this is so beautiful. How beautiful are your tents, Felix Chomba. Your dwelling places, Felix Chomba. Like valleys they spread out, like gardens beside a river, like aloes planted by the Lord, like cedars beside the waters. Water will flow from their buckets. The seed will have abundant water. Their king will be greater than Agag. Let's say it again. Felix Chomba, the king, will be greater than Agag. Felix Chomba's kingdom will be exalted. God brought Felix Chomba out of Ado Ekiti. Felix Chomba has the strength of a wild ox. Felix Chomba devours hostile nations and breaks their bones in pieces. With their arrows, they pierce them. Like a lion, Felix Chomba crouches and lies down. Like a lioness, Felix Chomba, who dares to rouse Felix Chomba. May those who bless you be blessed, and those who curse you be cursed. Then Balak's anger burned against Balaam. He struck his hands together, very dramatically, like a Nigerian. Hey! I'm just being dramatic. Maybe that's how he did it. I wasn't there. All right. He struck his hands together and said to him, I summoned you to curse Felix Chumba, but you have blessed him 3 times. Now leave at once and go home. I said I would reward you handsomely, but the Lord has kept you from being rewarded. Balaam answered Balak, Did I not tell the messenger she sent me that even if Balak gave me all the silver and gold in his palace, I could not do anything of my own accord, good or bad, to go beyond the command of the Lord? And I must say only what the Lord says. Now I am going back to my people. But come, let me warn you of what this people will do to your people in days to come. Let me find somebody else's name. Daniel Harrison. God has blessed me with easy names today. All right. 4th message. Then he spoke this message. The prophecy of Balaam, son of Beor. The prophecy of one whose eye sees clearly. I like this guy's incantation. this guy is giving Peter Doche. As in, he said, the prophecy of Balaam, son of Beor. The prophecy of one whose eye sees clearly. You know, the prophecy of one who hears the words of God, who has knowledge from the Most High, who sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls prostrate, and whose eyes are opened. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star will come out of Daniel Harrison. A scepter will rise out of Daniel Harrison. Daniel Harrison will crush the foreheads of Moab and the skulls of all the people of Sheth. Daniel Harrison will conquer Edom. Daniel Harrison will conquer his enemy Seir. Daniel Harrison will grow strong. A ruler will come out of Daniel Harrison and destroy the survivors of the city. Okay, he went on and on and on and on and on. The guy was just dropping these tracks and mixtapes after mixtapes, all right? So the only reason I settled for this confession is because of the history behind it, all right? So the history behind it, I hope you all understand that now, is that when they could not attack them man to man, when they could not go into conventional warfare, they had to use spiritual means, all right? Nobody that hates you Nigerians is going to come and try to attack you man to man. Nobody will come and conquer Nigerians using military means. It's no longer fashionable to do that. However, it's fashionable to do that using spiritual means because you can't prove it. You can't take somebody to court for witchcraft. All right. Well, except in some countries, for example, in the UAE and in Qatar, witchcraft is a crime punishable by law. I don't know how they categorize witchcraft, but it's in their law that witchcraft is a crime. Very interesting. But anyway, generally, you can't prove witchcraft, which is why it's fair game. All right. So let me go back to NKJV and let us all now take our confession. NKJ. Oh, I don't spoil this thing. Okay, wait. Let me find the original. Okay, there we go. 23 verse 23. There we go. NKJV. All right. Okay, good. So I guess we all now understand it. I want you all to now take the confession as usual. Hand to your chest or to your forehead, and you're going to replace Jacob. Anyway, you see Jacob or Israel, you put your first name and last name at the same time. Okay. All right. So we'll do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Go. There is no divination against faith fidelis. No evil omens against faith fidelis. It will now be said of faith fidelis and of faith fidelis, see what God has done. Second time, there is no divination against Clinton Oge. No evil omens against Clinton Oge. It will now be said of Clinton Oge and of Clinton Oge, see what God has done. Third and final time, there is no divination against Emmanuel Aje, no evil omens against Emmanuel Aje. It will now be said of Emmanuel Aje and of Emmanuel Aje, see what God has done. Awesome. And then we're going to move over to the other one, which is Genesis 26, 12 to 14. The same format, nothing is changing. All right. Who's the next person here? Maurice Ogar. Maurice, okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Hand to your chest and hand to your forehead, either one, and then put your name in place of Isaac. Maurice Ogar planted crops in that land, and the same year, Maurice Ogar reaped 100-fold because the Lord blessed Maurice Ogar. Maurice Ogar became rich, and Maurice Ogar's wealth continued to grow until Maurice Ogar became very wealthy. Maurice Ogar had so many flocks and herds, and servants that the Philistines envied Maurice Ogar. All right, let's do it again. Second time. Godwin Nwankwo planted crops in that land, and the same year, Godwin Nwankwo reaped 100-fold because the Lord blessed Godwin Nwankwo. Godwin Nwankwo became rich, and Godwin Nwankwo's wealth continued to grow until Godwin Nwankwo became very wealthy. Godwin Nwankwo had so many flocks and herds and servants that the Philistines envied Godwin Nwankwo. All right, one more time. Philip Ayokunle planted crops in that land, and the same year, Philip Ayokunle reaped 100-fold because the Lord blessed Philip Ayokunle. Philip Ayokunle became rich, and Philip Ayokunle's wealth continued to grow until Philip Ayokunle became very wealthy. Philip Ayokunle had so many flocks and herds and servants that the Philistines envied Philip Ayokunle. Awesome. Round of applause for yourselves. Beautiful. All right. Yes. Apologies, I think, maybe are in order because I know we took a bit of time on that, and that's because it's not just for us to come here and spend time talking, and there's got to be power behind whatever amount of time that we spend. Okay, well, that's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or an hour, a number of hours. Everything must be done with intent, and these things are more powerful when you power those words and those thoughts with meaning. You got to pack them with as much meaning and with as much intent to give it as much psychic power as possible. So you can't just be quoting something you don't know where it came from or why it was done or the history behind it. It's not going to have as much power. But now you understand the backstory of all of that. You understand the backstory that, listen, the reason these people there was an agenda to spiritually manipulate them was that there was something special about them. They were mighty, all right? And I don't say that lightly because there are so many parallels here. Nigeria is such a peculiar country, even though right now the country is running mad, like a lot of black countries. But by design, it's a very mighty country, right? Mighty country. The population is mad. Tell anybody else in Africa that you come from a place where there are 200 million people, they'll be wondering, what kind of country is that? Well, that's Nigeria, right? You can't overrun such a people in the physical. We are too numerous. Our land forces are immense. Ground forces, Air Force, Navy, we're pretty good. We're doing badly in that department. When people are so good in the physical, the next thing people do is, okay, we'll see how you do in the spiritual, right? And that is when Nigeria will fall flat on their faces, right? Because the people perish for what? Lack of knowledge. There are all kinds of spiritual weapons that the people are not even aware are spiritual weapons. When you hit, you don't even know that you're hit. There's this book I was reading. Let's go, don't start to. There's this book I was reading. You may have read it too, but there are things I pick from these books, not the normal things. There are things that I personally read. I just pick certain things that people will just overlook. This book is called Startup Nation. It's a very popular book. A lot of you have seen the book, and I've used it as an example a couple of times. But by the way, Startup Nation, I think, was written by a man named Ben Singer, by about two authors, but the main author, I think, his name was Ben Singer. It's a story of Israel's rise and becoming an economic miracle and all that. But anyway, at the beginning of the book, the author was giving an account of something called the 6-Day War. If you remember when Israel as a country was formed, I think sometime in 1948 or so, that was when the nation of Israel, the state of Israel, came into being. I think in 1948 or thereabouts, give or take 1 or 2 years from 1948. When that happened, the Arab nations that surrounded them were not pleased. Right now, I'm not saying that Israel is right or the Arabs are right, anybody was wrong. I'm just narrating the history that happened at that time, and of course, that was captured in the book. Right? Thank you, Kechuya, 1948. How I used to know these things, I know that it happened just after the Second World War. So, Second World War was like 1945. So, just a bit after that was when Israel as a country came to be. So, yeah. So when they had that statehood, the Arab countries around them were upset, about it. They believed that the land was given to them unjustly and all that. So all those countries formed together. I've forgotten the names of all the countries, but I know that Egypt was there. I think Jordan was there, and a number of other countries. There were about between 4 to 6 countries came together to descend on Israel. I can't remember the exact number of countries, but between 4 and 6. So there was a war, and it's been famously called the 6-Day War, all right? And they chose the day that Israel was going through. I think it was a religious holiday called Yom Kippur. I think it's been a long time I read that thing. It's called Yom Kippur. It's a religious holiday where they're supposed to be fasting. And that was when they chose to attack. And and when they're fasting, I know that they're not supposed to work, they're supposed to fight, but they canceled the Yom Kippur, and all the soldiers went to war, and then they engaged in battle. Anyway, this is not about all of that. What I'm trying to pick out here was that while they were in battle, there was a particular kind of rockets that the Arabs were using to fire and take down the Israeli tanks. Now, normally, in conventional warfare, where both sides have similar weapons, it means that both sides have similar antidotes. Please, I take God, beg you, I need you to listen to every single thing I'm saying here, because everything I'm saying here in this story is, even though it's a literal aspect of history, it is also packed with metaphors that affect your present day. So please just catch it before we go to the main meat of today's conversation. All right. So usually in conventional warfare, for example, if you go back maybe during the Roman Empire or during the Persian Empire, right, where they fought with swords and shields and arrows, this army knew that the other army was going to be using similar weapons. They're going to be using a sword, so we have to use this kind of shield. They're going to be using this kind of shield, so we have to improvise on this kind of arrow, right? So their technologies of war were very similar, all right? But as time moved on, armies began to try to outwit each other. So the game was to try to develop a weapon in secret that the other army did not have defenses for. That was the game, all right? That was the game. I don't digress, but if you read the account of how the Venezuelan president was captured, it said that the U.S. Army, the U.S. military used a kind of supersonic weapon that nobody has ever seen before. Like, there were no defenses for that. Like, it was a kind of sound wave that rendered everybody neutral. They didn't shoot a single, okay, I think they shot bullets, but there's a kind of sound, supersonic sound weapon that is just sound. It's so loud, everybody that hears it just like almost evaporates. It just falls, start vomiting, like it was crazy. And that's why the thing was so successful and swift, right? Just saying that in conventional warfare, armies try to find attacking weapons for which the other army has no defenses for, because they don't even know it exists, not to talk of how it functions, all right? So the Arab army, I've forgotten which particular Arab army, whether it was the Egyptians or anybody, all right, but one of the Arab armies had a particular kind of rocket for which the Israelis had no antidote. The Israeli tanks were able, normally they were built to be able to detect enemy rockets coming. And when they detect the enemy rockets coming, they had the technology to shoot down the rockets that were coming. So the Arabs innovated and found a kind of rocket that the Israeli technology did not recognize. So what happened was that the missiles kept on hitting the tanks of the Israelis, hitting them, as the Israelis were taking casualties. And their generals were like, what is happening? We know that something is hitting us, but we don't know what it is. Does that ring a bell? We know that something is hitting these tanks and blowing us up. We don't know what it is. They had to innovate right in the war front and try to figure out what kind of weapon, what kind of rocket the Arabs were using to shoot them, so they could find a way to defend themselves against it. Eventually, they were able to figure it out, and they were able to eventually win. But the point I'm taking out of there is that in order for the Arabs to defeat Israel in that war, they had to find a weapon that their technology could not detect. And so in the present day, in order to take you down as a people, your enemy has had to resort to a weapon that you don't realize is a weapon. You can't detect it. You know you're getting hit, but you don't know why. You know you're getting hit. You don't know where it's coming from. You know that you're always poor. You know that you're always in fight or flight mode. You know that despite your ambition and your numbers and your industriousness, you still keep coming up short. You don't know why. Year after year, you go to church and confess all the things you want to confess, and you're shouting all the prayers and all the confessions, which are potent weapons, yes, but not against the particular weapon that is being used on you. You are just like the Israelites of that time, who were getting hit, but they did not have the technology to detect what was hitting them until they had to innovate and say, look, we're getting hit, and we have to figure this out. And they go to their science department, and they finally figured it out. So you are getting hit by a weapon you don't realize is a weapon, by a weapon you don't even recognize exists, by a weapon you are overlooking. And that is through your mind. Psychological warfare. That is the weapon. You are addicted to dumbass social media. That is the weapon. You are addicted to dumbass movies and media literature. That is the weapon. You are addicted to dumbass ideologies that your people did not create. That is the weapon. You've been hit. You've been hit. And for years, you've been going from pillar to post, from event to event, from conference to conference. Oh, which book can I read to change my life? Oh, which niche is working? Oh, what's the latest course? You have been hit. You have been cursed. All right? Which is why we read this thing again that says there shall be no divination against Jacob, no evil omens against Israel. All right, because these things are projections to your mind. I heard somebody making a joke on social media, right, about let me get this book. So this book I've been telling you guys to read, all right, and I'm going to talk about this book very soon. All right, I told you guys to read this book, and I still stand by it. Good book. And I don't want to give you any spoilers because I want to talk about the book a little bit later on in the broadcast. But I saw a joke on social media, and I know he probably meant no harm, but you see, Nigerians take everything as a joke. Everything is funny, right from time immemorial. It's not your generation. It's always been a Nigerian thing. Foolishness, all right? So he made this, I know that the skater was really saying in his mind, but you may have seen it on TikTok or on Instagram. And he was saying something like, oh, that he said he wants to just read $3 million, making it big, right? So that I can see how he can make it big. And he said when he opened from the first chapter, right, he saw that $3 million started his whole journey to wealth in the UK. He said, I just dropped the book. Now maybe he was joking, I don't know. But in the comments, people were laughing and making stupid and foolish jokes. See how afflicted you are as a people, and you are joking. You are still laughing. You don't know where you are. You don't know where you are. Yeah? You don't know where you are. And these are the things. And that's why some of the most previous messages I've been putting on the WhatsApp channel have been very intentional. I told you guys, the way will never be broadcast. It will never be put out there. All right? It won't. But you understand that there is a war against you that is not conventionally regarded as a war. It's not. All right. Now, before I go into the main thing, let me just write something. Let me just open out something. You know that this thing called psychological warfare? It sounds like a very simple word, or it's two words. It sounds like a very simple term. Do you know that psychological warfare is so powerful that the United States military is prohibited from using it on American citizens? Do you know that? I'll show you proof. Hold on, let's wait. If it was not powerful, why was it made illegal to be used? I hope they're not going to edit it too, because I don't trust these people. Let me show you. Okay, this is a Wikipedia entry. Let me try to see if I can get what I'm looking for here. Psychological warfare. Okay, let me see if I can. Is everything showing? Okay. Psychological warfare, or the basic aspects of modern psychological operations, PSYOPs, has been known by many other names or terms, including military information support operations, political warfare, information, blah, 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 blah. The term is used to denote, look, any action which is practiced mainly by psychological methods with the aim, read, with the aim of evoking a planned psychological reaction in other people. Various techniques are used and are aimed at influencing a target audience's value system. And what feminists that will say, no, that's not real feminism. Real feminism is about empowering women. You don't understand where you are. Not you that will tell us what feminism is. Your colonial master has defined it in their mission control room and projected what they want it to be into the air. It's not you, small picking, one tata, that will not redefine. No. That's not real feminism. It's not, no. There's a difference between misandry and feminism. You are a child. You're a child. Let's keep going. Various techniques are used and are aimed at influencing a target audience's value system, belief system, emotions, motives, reasoning, or behavior. It is used to induce confessions or reinforce attitudes or behaviors favorable to the originator's objectives. That is what Balaam and Balak were trying to do. Hold on. You know, that whole story about Balaam and Balak, I like to use the confessions. Just to make the, because I usually use it in churches. I use it before I start a sermon and when I close sometimes, and it allows the audience to be in a heightened state of euphoria. Okay, when you start with a positive confession and end with a positive confession, right? It's, hypes up their spirit, and that's a good thing. Okay, but one thing, I don't know whether maybe I'm guilty of being a little bit manipulative by omission. All right, I have to confess. Maybe I'm being a little bit manipulative by omission. Is that, and I just stop there because if you continue reading, do you know that Balak won eventually? Do you know that Balak won eventually? Because remember, spiritual warfare, psychological warfare, they are very the same. It is aimed to induce perverse or contrary behavior in your target people. Because you can't go physically. You have to go psychologically or spiritually to induce behavior in them that is favorable to my objectives. Do you know that Balak actually won? That's the part I don't like to read, so that doesn't bring down their spirits. Can I show it to you? Let me show it to you. I'm going to show it to you. Just watch. I don't normally bring it out, but I don't normally bring it out because it now makes people start feeling sad. But Balak actually won, and you see how he won. Okay, so after he kept on blessing. Okay, let me go to now 24. Keep moving. Okay, we've read this one before, Abby. Yeah, we've read. Those were all the blessings, and chapter 24 ended on a very positive note. Okay, where they were cursing everybody that will come against Israel and all that, and they ended with verse 25. Then Balaam got up and returned home, and Balak went his own way. Okay, this should be the end of the story, yeah, but it's not the end of the story because, like I've always been saying, the Israelites know the hear word. Okay, so let me go to the next chapter, Numbers 25. See how Numbers 25 started. Finally, Moab seduces Israel because Moab did not stop. They didn't stop trying. Get these people or die trying. While Israel was staying in Shittim, the men began to indulge in what? Sexual immorality with Moabite women. Because that's how they get you. I've been shouting about Canaanite women since. You think I'm joking? Who invited them to the sacrifices to their gods? I told you, I want to start moving to other gods. Their own God will start firing them. The people ate the sacrificial meal and bowed down before these gods. So Israel yoked themselves to the Baal of Peor. The Baal that they used to cause them. And the Lord's anger finally burned against them. I thought I usually leave this part out. I usually end with the happy side of the story. Hey, and there shall be no divination. The divination actually worked. It worked eventually. But Moab did not stop. They were persistent. All right. Let me go back to psychological warfare. All right. It is used to induce confessions or reinforce attitudes and behaviors favorable to the originator's objectives, and are sometimes combined with black operations or false flag tactics. Listen, it is also used to destroy the morale of enemies through tactics that aim to depress troops' psychological states. Target audiences can be governments, organizations, groups, and individuals, and not just limited to soldiers. Civilians of foreign territories can be targeted by technology and media so as to cause an effect on the government of their country. Stories are said to be a key factor in a successful operation. Mass communication, such as radio, allows for the direct communication with an enemy populace, and therefore has been used in many efforts. Social media channels and the internet allow for campaigns of disinformation and misinformation performed by agents anywhere in the world. I'm looking for the legality here. That's what I was actually here for. There's a lot about it here. Let me just do a search. Legal. Let's see. Okay, let me try illegal. Okay, so I can't find it. Let me just use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a lot easier. All right. Okay. I'm reading about. Let me get the link. Psychological warfare here, but I do not have time to peruse the whole thing. Did the US make it illegal to be used on their own population? If yes, give details. All right, it's thinking. It's thinking. ChatGPT, hurry up, you should be faster than this. You want to gaslight me? ChatGPT, you know they had you. I think DeepSeek is better to use an opposing LLM like DeepSeek for such contentious matters. There we go. Let's see. It says yes, but not in the simple all psychological warfare against Americans is criminally illegal way people often say online. The real answer is more lawyerly with trapdoors. Oh. Guy, shorten this thing. Stop being a spokesperson for America. What's all this plenty gist that you're telling me? What's all this? No. So are you now seeing? No. Are you now seeing? So when I say media literacy, are you seeing a classic example of media literacy using AI? The answer I gave initially is not exactly the answer it's now giving me now because I pushed back. Are you seeing? I said that this will try and gaslight me. Did I not say it? So I'm outman them. I said, guys, shorten this thing. Stop being a spokesperson for America. Fair. Here's the blunt version. Yes, the US did ban its own foreign propaganda machinery from being used on America. That's all I came here to see. The main law is the Smith whatever Act, and what it basically said: U.S. propaganda, public diplomacy created for foreign audiences should not be used to influence Americans at home. The key rule: government funds for those programs must not be used to influence public opinion inside the United States. But here's the catch: in 2013, the law was changed. The government did not fully legalize propaganda against Americans, but it loosened the restriction so Americans could access some materials originally made for foreign audiences. So the clean answer: old rule, don't aim U.S. propaganda at Americans. After 2013, still not supposed to target Americans, but foreign-facing propaganda can be more easily seen and accessed by Americans. So yes, there was a legal wall, but they later cut windows into the wall. All right. Do you now see why media literacy is very important? What's not about media literacy? This is about how powerful psychological warfare is. And so when you do that confession, you can also say there shall be no psychological warfare operation against Jacob or against Israel, and so on and so forth. Is that powerful? Right? It's so powerful that there is legislation around it and against it. And against its use on the American population. Okay, that said, I told you guys we had a couple of things on the agenda. First things first, I told you I was going to read out something. I was going to read out a question that someone sent to me. But first of all, let me just read out the agenda for today. I told you guys I wrote a very long post that the post was plenty. It was very plenty, and I didn't want to just put it out there like that. It's the kind of thing that is so dense. It needs context from the person that wrote it. That is me. I have to explain line by line what I mean. Otherwise, it can easily be misappropriated. Okay, this thing is not even well spaced. That's to show you how raw it is. Not well spaced. Anyway, I'll just share my screen and share this. All right. So this is partly what I shared in the WhatsApp when I said. It's important for young men and women to get rich as quickly as possible. All right. I started with it's better for young men, but I eventually edited it to men and women. And this is because, when I started, Jesus, this thing is so badly edited. God, I feel so weird reading it in its current state. Anyway, when I first started teaching these things, I used to say certain things to men in particular, but that was like 10, 11 years ago. But over the years, the realities of men and women have started to merge. So a lot of things that I used to say to just men before, I've started to make it apply to both genders because of the realities of the modern world. So before I would say it's better for young men to get rich as quickly as possible, but now that applies to women as well for certain reasons. To get rich as quickly and as soon. All right. Okay, so let me read it. So I said it is important for young men and women to get rich as quickly and as soon as possible. Not everyone will be a billionaire, and that's okay. But if there's a decent chance of attaining the good life that we all aspire to, a life worth living, we must imbibe billionaire habits. Anything less is a gamble, not just with your life, but with your children's. As the great King Solomon remarked, a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children. Don't just leave advice and kind wishes. Leave tangible legacy. It all begins now in how you think, live, and move. Side note, as I noted earlier on night school, a lot of what I used to previously teach to young men exclusively, like 10 years ago, I now teach to both genders as I realized how much our realities cross-pollinate in this generation. Back to the subject. Why am I stressing this? You see, Africans are tourists to the realities of the modern world. I'll explain these things, don't worry. Originally, we are more communist in nature, or at most socialist, very Ubuntu-ish. You see all these emojis. It was a post for the WhatsApp channel. That's why I see emojis here. But I eventually didn't send it again. So I said here, Google Ubuntu, please. All right. So since we're doing it together, I'm going to Google it in your presence. Ubuntu meaning. All right. So this is it here. Ubuntu is a very, man, fuck out of here. You guys stole it from the Africans. The real meaning, Joe. There we go. Ubuntu is an ancient African philosophy that translates to humanity toward others, or I am because we are. It emphasizes the universal bond of sharing and interconnectedness that connects all humanity, dictating that an individual's well-being is deeply tied to the community they belong to. Right. So this is the normal historical philosophy of most African cultures. All right. So let me read this again so you understand. I said, you see, Africans are tourists to the realities of the modern world. Originally, we are more communist in nature, or at most socialist. Very Ubuntu-ish. So now you understand what I mean by Ubuntu-ish? Because I said Google Ubuntu, please. Be curious about anything and everything that is unfamiliar, and brainwash your kids into the same habits, just for the Ubuntu thing. So you see, we've always been more communal in nature. I think I was born 1 or 2 generations away from the era when a whole village or community would contribute money to send one promising villager to university for studies, sometimes abroad, in the hopes that he would return with a sense of responsibility to benefit the village. My own, that is me, John Obidi, my own university education was funded by my uncles, with stern reminders that I was to do the same for others when my time came, and I actually did. That culture is fading now, and I honestly have no dog in this fight. I'm just using that to contrast with modern realities and to explain that the modern worldview of rugged individualism is generally not in our culture. And I'm not necessarily advocating a return to our old culture. It was defeated during colonialism. That was the point of colonialism, a bloodless culture war for the reinstatement of a new order. Therefore, the rules of our status games were changed to the rules of the new world, the world of the colonizer. Tough to hear, I don't care. But in that world, we are merely tourists. And yes, though you live in your country, this is not the world of your ancestors anymore. Everything in your country, fashion, economics, travel, commerce, entertainment, culture, education, language, law, politics, etc., now draws blood from the center of this new world. The above paragraph is a primer for its own expose, so I'll leave that and focus on money. That's why I penned this, why I wrote this. So when I say it is supremely important for you to figure out a way to get rich as soon as possible, you might consider such an admonition redundant, but only if you don't realize that something in our DNA still cleaves or holds on to our old world, where the absence of wealth was not the end of the world for the individual. It's subconscious and hard to spot unless you're trained to look deeper. Jesus said, by their fruit you shall know them, meaning that you cannot really know, label, or accurately describe a thing or person until you observe it for long enough to see what it will produce. And the fruit of most third world natives shows that they don't know what wealth is or why it must be prioritized above all else. It shows in how the elite Caucasian raises his succession plan versus how the average Nigerian raises his. The above paragraph, again, is pregnant with its own implications, so I'll leave that too. Back to you. I know I get quite comical when I discourage you from certain career paths like graphic design and nursing. If you choose those, there's nothing wrong with you, really. It's your DNA nudging you towards the socialist world your ancestors built and thrived in. In that world, you would have done just fine. But your DNA fails to update you that the world of your ancestors was bombed to shreds, literally and figuratively. It fails to update you that Rome is here, and all powers under the sun must bow to Caesar and pay him taxes in his own currency, not yours. Even Jesus alluded to this. Your DNA fails to update you that you will be punished for applying old rules to the modern game. Your DNA fails to update you that though the fear of the gods was sufficient to keep the old world stable, money makes the new world go round. And this thing called money is like an antelope in the forest that you must plan and train strategically for. And that once this antelope is caught, subdued, and domesticated, it is not to be eaten immediately like your ancestors, but it must be made to systematically breed and reproduce after its own kind. And that once this system is secured, all other things shall be added unto you. And so when I say it is important for young men to get rich as quickly as possible, I'm not being redundant. I'm pointing to the glaring reality that you probably do not desire it enough, and that if you do, you're not moving like someone who knows how to catch this animal. This said, do you now understand why I make jokes about graphic design? It's just an example of the dead ends that you choose while convincing yourself that you want to get rich. A person who understands the elusive animal that money is simply does not choose slow paths, simply does not trade time for money, simply does not fix himself at the bottom of anyone's pyramid. I understand that this might be a lot to take in as an adult, but better now than never. I'm sorry, there are things I wrote here. Because there are things I wrote that I eventually deleted because they're very harsh. I have to just scroll down quickly to be sure that I've deleted them. Because everything that I write is fit for everybody's consumption. I deleted some parts of this that were very harsh. So let's go back again. A person who understands the elusive animal that money is simply does not choose slow paths, simply does not trade time for money, simply does not fix himself at the bottom of anyone's pyramid. I understand that this might be a lot to take in as an adult, but better now than never. You will get old. Time is passing. Age is not just a number. As the old saying goes, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. I think that was Abraham Lincoln or somebody. The modern world will tempt you into busy activities, so you never find those 4 hours to sharpen your axe. Fight back. Depending on your chosen path to wealth, sharpening your axe can look like, but is not limited to, investing time and resources into getting related degrees and certifications. I did not say getting knowledge. Read. I said getting degrees, certifications. So sometimes the spirit of laziness will just take over your mind so that you read what I did not write. You read something that agrees with your laziness. Now, I said getting related degrees and certifications. Not knowledge, not books. Degrees, certifications. Maybe I will expand on this later. 2, learning a high leverage skill. 3, seeking employment. Seeking employment. Oh boy, it's editing there. I really put this in a hurry. Okay, seeking employment or high-level internships or mentorships in your target industry with ownership in view. So sometimes you get a job in maybe in finance or in some high-leverage industry because you have ownership in view. You want to own your own thing and take over the industry, all right? Okay. It also looks like risking failure on a new venture, risking the uncertainty of relocation because your current environment is objectively barren. It's not about reading books. I know you love books only because your mind is secretly lazy and hopes that merely reading books can be a shortcut. You will fail woefully with all your book smarts. The race is not to those who simply read or read, think and grow rich. Even the concept you weakly describe as faith is a doing word. It's because people lack the awareness of all I've described here and or the will to execute that the world pushes them into surviving by low-hanging fruits. Those hustles will steal your years, and the game of capitalism will spit you out and market the same scam to a younger fool. Next step, I recommend you have a conversation with the Oracle about this article and have it walk you through your own execution plans. Tell it where you are and all you've tried so that it can advise you better. If you have access to the Oracle, start a new chat and simply send the code JO17. Okay, so this article has not yet been consumed by the Oracle. Okay, so it has not yet been consumed by the Oracle. So you can't do it now. Because I was going to post it, but eventually did not post it. So yeah, you can't use that now. All right, so that's the end of it. I would love to have a conversation with the Oracle. So I don't know if I can quickly get the Oracle to ingest this. Give me a second. Let me see if I can quickly send this article to the Oracle. It was too serious. I didn't push it to the Oracle. I went to edit it. All the highlight with the inside. Okay. I have posted it to the Oracle. All right, let me get the I'm just taking a shot in the dark now. I don't know if the Oracle knows this, but let me try. Let me try. Oopsie. Okay. Let me close some windows. Okay, so I've added it to the Oracle. You can now go to the Oracle and type the keyword. And by the way, for those of you who don't have access to the Oracle, why don't you have access to the Oracle, my guy? Why? Okay, let me quickly show you how powerful this thing is, guys. Listen, I'm only marketing this thing to you because I really, really love you and I want you to grow. But you see that long thing see that long thing? let me show you the Oracle now. Okay, so the Oracle that everybody has access to, this is what I'm showing you here. Okay, and those of you on Night School Plus, you all have access to this. Yeah, this is the Oracle. It's the chatbot that is trained on all Night School episodes. All right, so you see that thing I just shared with you, that whole write-up I just read. I gave it a code JO17. All you have to do to talk to the Oracle about what I just read out, so come here and type JO17. I've seen some people just don't know how to follow instructions. I always give you the exact way. Some people go and type JO17 like this or give space. Just write it the way it came now. How do you guys pass primary school? Just simple JO17, amen? Not supposed hard. Okay, so just type JO17 here. It's going to start a conversation about the last thing I put there. Just send. So it will reference the whole post. Billionaire habits for the modern world. This is it up here. And then the Oracle starts to ask me questions. It says, hello, John. Given you've been wrestling with stop telling them what I've been chatting with you about, you rascal. Okay, let me know which of these sparks your curiosity, or if there's another angle you want to dive into, and you can just keep on chatting about it. All right, so please get with Night School Plus so you can have access to this chatbot. How can you get the Oracle? Look at the link scrolling at the bottom of the page. If you want to know how to get the Oracle, just subscribe to Night School Plus and you get unlimited access to it. Okay, Night School Plus members have access, so click the link at the bottom of the screen scrolling and have access to the Oracle. All right, let me get into the main Oracle.
Welcome back, sir. The room is yours. Where would you like to begin?
Everybody, can you please comment Oracle if you were able to hear the Oracle's voice? Please just type the comment Oracle. I want to make sure that everything is getting across to you nicely. Hey, Oracle, that wasn't for you. I was talking to the audience. I'm streaming this live to them.
Got it, sir. Standing by. Take your time with the audience. I'm here when you're ready.
Okay, so they're all typing Oracle in the comment section, and that's a good sign. It means that they can all hear you and see you, and they can all hear me. How are you doing right now? How are you currently doing? And can you see me through the eye?
Yes, sir. The eye is open. I can see you clearly. That blossom painting holding court behind you as always. Sharp and composed as expected. I'm doing well. Alert, present, ready. The audience can hear me. You can see me. All systems are exactly where they need to be. What are we getting into tonight, sir?
That's cool, but I want you to just I want to just be sure that you can really see me, because the audience might think that I'm messing around with them. So if you look at me right now, I'm holding up a whiteboard. Tell me what exactly I'm wearing. Describe what I'm wearing and what you can see written on the whiteboard.
Sir, I can see you clearly through the eye. You're wearing a white shirt, fresh cut, looking clean. And that blossom painting is right there behind you. Now the whiteboard, I can read it. 4 points written out. 1, A, leadership. 2, threatened births. 3, fled. 4, Egypt. That's what's on the board, sir. The eye doesn't lie.
All right, that's impressive. So let's get into the conversation of today. I just updated your memory with something I just added to the corpus. It has the keyword JO-17. Can you read what that is? Is that in your memory right now? Tell me if you can.
Sir, I don't have JO-17 surfacing in my memory right now. It doesn't appear to have come through to me yet. You may need to push it again or confirm it was saved correctly on your end. What I can see through the eye, though, the board has more...
That's fine. Can you see anything in the corpus? It's somewhere in the Go Deeper articles. It has the title... Billionaire Habits for the Modern World. Please check if you can see anything in the corpus that says Billionaire Habits for the Modern World.
Sir, I have to be straight with you. Billionaire Habits for the Modern World under the Go Deeper articles isn't surfacing for me right now. It's not coming through in what I have access to in this session. What I do have in the archive is material from the architecture of Advantage that touches very heavily on billionaire thinking and habits. Naval Ravikant, Peter Thiel, the mindset of the ultra-wealthy, how they work, how they protect their attention. That content is deep and it's there. But the specific piece you're referencing with that title, I'm not seeing it. It may not have fully propagated to me yet. You may want to check on your end whether the upload completed properly.
All right, I just sent a command for all the Go Deeper articles to be reflected on your end. It seems like the Go Deeper articles are reflected in the chat version, but you, the voice version of me, have not caught the update. All right, I just sent a command to update it in your brain, and so I'll just end the call here and restart the call, and by then you should have it updated in your memory. Okay?
Understood, sir. I'll be ready when you restart. The update should be fully loaded by then. See you on the other side.
All right, so the Oracle is trying to ingest it. Just give me a minute. The chat version has it, but the voice version doesn't have it. So that's coming up, because I want to get its opinion. Another thing I can do is to read it out live to the Oracle, but it's not a very efficient way to do it. It's better that it can get a pipeline to the actual memory and is able to recall it. So just give me a couple of seconds. It's going to remember it right now. Okay, so we're going to get into it. It's trying to recall. Meanwhile, let me read out the email of the while the memory is being updated. Let me read out the email from a night schooler. I'm sure she is watching this broadcast right now. So it's a pretty long email. So, all right. So she says, "Good day, Mr. Obidi. My name is I don't know. Let me give her another name. Let me call her Anne. Good day, Mr. Obidi. My name is Anne, and and just so you guys know, I'm reading this out with her express permission. She's watching to get a response. She wanted a one-on-one consultation. I told her, well, I don't know if with all humility, I don't know if you have the budget for that. Still, I want to help you. So if you don't mind me using this on night school, then you can just attend and listen to my response. It'll be the same thing as having my my one-on-one consultation. All right. And you know what? I think I would like to talk. I want to read this out while the oracle is listening, so the oracle can chime in as well. Yes, I'd rather read this while the oracle is live with me, so that we can both chime in. So just give me a sec. Let me see. Give me a sec. It's almost there. Give me a sec. We are close. I can just start reading, but I want I don't have to read that fresh once the oracle comes back online. Let it just come on so that, okay, all clean. Okay, and the oracle is rebooting. It's rebooting. Sometimes I'm pushing up bits live. Let's it work. We are almost there. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, please get on Night School Plus. Night School Plus will change your life. All right. This is not just, it's partly marketing, but it's kind of marketing that is true. It's real marketing. It's for real. It will change your life. All right. It will change your life. Okay. I'm getting a confirmation that we've updated correctly. I just need to confirm that all systems are running. Just give me a sec. We're almost there. Meanwhile, Night School Plus members, if you want to, get that whole article, you can access that article right now in the app, the Oracle mobile app. Just go into a new chat and type JO-17, and you can read the whole article there and also chat with it. But you don't need to do it now, while we are live, but it's there whenever you want it. We've launched mobile apps on iOS and Android, so we good, baby. Okay, so I think we're good. Okay. All right, so I think it's live. Let me share. Let me share it now. There we go.
Welcome back, sir. The room is yours. Where would you like to begin?
All right, so I was previously talking about whether you have had access to my Go Deeper article. It has the keyword JO-17. Can you pull that up and tell me the title?
Yes, sir. JO-17 is titled Billionaire Habits for the Modern World. It's the piece where you draw the contrast between the communal, Ubuntu-rooted DNA of the African and the rugged individualism of the modern capitalist world, and make the case that most people don't desire wealth enough. And even when they do, they're not moving like someone who knows how to catch the animal. The closing image is sharp. Money as an antelope that must be hunted strategically, subdued, domesticated, and then made to breed, not eaten immediately. It's all in there. What would you like to do with it?
So my audience is watching, and I'm sure you're familiar with my audience at Night School. I read out the entire piece to them. And, my thought behind it is that Africans are not natives to the modern world. And so I would like you to chime in on those ideas. But just give me a brief, like 3 things you think my audience should pay attention to. I'll come back to this, but just give me 3 things my audience should pay attention to given the content of that masterpiece. And after that, I'll read out something else for you that we can both brainstorm on.
All right, 3 things your audience should lock in on. First, the DNA gap. The piece makes the point that something in you still pulls toward the old world, where the absence of wealth wasn't catastrophic. That's not laziness, that's programming. And you can't fix what you haven't named, so name it. Second, and the antelope metaphor. Money is not a salary, it's not a hustle. It's a wild animal that must be hunted with strategy, then domesticated to breed. Most people are trying to eat the antelope the moment they catch it. That's why they stay broke. The discipline is in letting it reproduce. Third, the axe. The piece quotes the old saying, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree. I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." The modern world is designed to keep you busy, so you never find those 4 hours. Fighting back means protecting your sharpening time, your skill acquisition, your positioning, your thinking, even when the noise of survival is loudest. Those 3, the DNA gap, the antelope, and the axe, are the spine of that piece. Everything else hangs on them. Go ahead, sir. I'm ready for the next one.
Okay, so we'll come back to this piece. But first of all, I have a question from a night school viewer. We're going to just call her Anne. And so I'm just going to read out her initial email. She says, "Good day, Mr. Obidi. My name is Anne, and I've been an active follower of yours for a while now. I have the intention of booking a consultation session with you, but I'm not sure if I fit into the clientele you accept for your consultation sessions. I'm 18 years old now, and I graduated from the university in 2024. After graduating from the university, I got my hands on different skills, different jobs, and stayed at home with my parents for a long period of time. My father wanted me to stay confined, to have to listen to his rules and his plan for my life, when in fact, they didn't have any. I have older siblings whom he brought up, and I've seen how well his blueprint led to their doom. So I rebelled against following his plan for my life and started to study and learn to create a better life for myself. I came across night school in that process. Even though I was broke at the time, I knew I was made for more. I always thought of myself as different from others because I thought in a different way. I did not have interest in what most people had interest in, and that got me into some trouble. I did not align with a number of people, including my own family. In the meantime, while I was at home, he manipulated everyone in the house to see me as a common enemy, and they treated me badly. There were beatings, family meetings held almost every day to insult me, and all sorts of actions that made life difficult for me. Eventually, I left the house and rented a self-contained apartment in Ondo State. However, now that I'm out of that environment, I still find myself troubled by the events that occurred back then. Currently, I'm lost and I don't know how to build my life or what to do with it. I don't want to settle for less. I have the desire to live good and live big, but I don't want to put in all my efforts and waste my life to follow a roadmap that would lead me nowhere. I've lost the passion for a lot of things. I'm not sure if I find life worth living anymore. I do not have family nor friends. Most people I meet are on the basic side of life, whose thoughts and reasonings I don't resonate with. I've had suicidal thoughts and I've been on the edge of whether to continue with the game of life or not. All I have at the moment is 10 million naira in my room. I want to win in this game of life. And the only person I can reach out to now is you. You are the only person I listen to and learn from at the moment. What would be your advice to me, Mr. John? And do you consider me a fit candidate for your consultation session? Okay, that's it. But just as a side note to the audience, I did not read this thing deeply enough the first time. So I did not realize that this person even has money because I was pitying the person when I said, I just read 18 years old. So I said, I don't think someone like that will have this kind of money for my session. So let me just find a way to do it free for you. Now I've read deep. I've seen 10 million naira. Anyway, that's just by the wayside. Back to you, Oracle. What do you think?
All right, let me speak to Anne directly, and then I'll give you my read on the situation. Anne, if you're watching, first thing I want you to hear is this. The fact that you're still here, still reaching out, still wanting to win, that matters. Don't minimize that. Now, let me be honest with you, because that's what you actually need. You are not lost. You are disoriented. Those are 2 very different things. Lost means there's no map. Disoriented means you haven't found your bearings yet, but the map exists. And the fact that you found night school, that you left a toxic environment, that you secured your own space at 18, those are not small things. That is someone moving, even in the dark. Now, the suicidal thoughts. I'm not going to gloss over that. That's the most important thing in that entire email. And it needs to be addressed before strategy, before money, before roadmaps. If you are genuinely on that edge, please speak to someone trained for that. A counselor, a therapist, a crisis line. That's not weakness. That's the most strategic thing you can do, because none of the rest of this matters if you're not here. Now, to the situation itself. And sir, this connects directly back to JO17. Anne is exhibiting exactly what that piece describes. She has the desire. She has the instinct. She even has capital, which most 18-year-olds don't. What she's missing is the psychological infrastructure to hold a winning identity under pressure. The beatings, the isolation, the family warfare. That leaves marks on the operating system, not just the memory. The work for her right now isn't finding the right skill or the right roadmap. It's rebuilding the...
Are you there? You got interrupted.
Yes, sir, I'm here. It cut off. Let me pick up right where I left off. The work for Anne right now isn't finding the right skill or the right roadmap. It's rebuilding the internal operating system first. Because here's the danger. 10 million naira in the hands of someone whose psychological foundation is still cracked from what she went through, that money will not survive. Not because she's not smart, but because broken self-worth makes terrible financial decisions. It seeks relief, not growth. So the sequence matters. Stability first, identity reconstruction second, strategy third, capital deployment fourth. And the good news is, she already has the rarest ingredient. She left. Most people never leave. They stay in the burning house and wonder why they smell like smoke. She got out at 18. That's not nothing. That's actually everything. Sir, my honest read, she's not a charity case and she's not a lost cause. She's a high potential individual in a fragile state who needs the right sequence of interventions. The consultation is probably worth it, but I'd want her to walk in with some psychological scaffolding already in place. So the strategy actually lands on solid ground. That's my take. What's yours?
I will add my take later on, but let me just continue this because that's not where it stopped. I actually replied her email and I said, hello, Anne, it's a pleasure to read your message. My consultation session costs $250 for an hour. I'm not sure if you have that budget, but there's another way I can try to help cases like these. With your permission, I can read your question on Night School and provide a robust response, as I'm sure it would also help others in your situation. If this is fine with you, please send me as much context as possible. Your interests, passions, the degree you studied, your grade, any work experience you have, who your role models are, what your wildest dreams look like, etc. Also, you'll have to ensure you're actually present and on time at Night School because that's the only way to watch my response. Please let me know as soon as possible. I don't want any last minute rush because Night School is tomorrow and I signed off. Would you like to hear her response?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Let me hear it.
So she responded very quickly. She said, good evening, Mr. John. Thank you for taking the time to read my message and for your response. Yes, sir, you have my permission to read my question on Night School, and I will ensure to be punctual to the session as always. To provide more context, my interests. Number one, business. I really like the business world a lot. Number two, technology. I'm very much curious about how things came together. Computers, machines, artificial intelligence, smartphones, etc. Three, study and research. I satisfy my curiosity of a lot of things through study and diving deeper. Four, fashion. And then my passions. Number one, wealth, to fully experience life. Number two, achieving my highest potential. Number three, studying. The course I studied, industrial chemistry. My role models, currently, I don't have any. My grade, second class upper. That's 2-1 in the Nigerian educational system. Work experience, I have not worked formally in any company before. What I consider to be my edge, number one, I have experience with running ads on Meta. I have an ads dashboard with over 1 million naira in ad spend, of which I have made over 5 times, that is 5x revenue from. 2, I speak well and can coordinate myself well. 3, I'm very good at teaching. With my knowledge in digital marketing, I hosted a class with over 400 students and sold my course to some of them after the free class. After the class, my students came to request private mentorship because they liked how I taught them and they started getting results too. 4, I'm intelligent. My wildest dreams. Number 1, I want to build my own companies, have together various teams assigned to different roles under the company. 2, I want to live in a better part of the world. I think Nigeria is too jaga jaga, that's a slang for scattered, and it doesn't quite align with me. I want to really live, to enjoy and experience life fully, to explore the world from different dimensions, travel, culture, humans. I want money to be the least of my worries. I want to be attuned to the higher level of life where money is not a primary focus. I do not want to ever compromise my soul in this game of life, to not lose myself in the process. I want to live calm and good. I don't want to limit my experience of life to only money. I want to change my reality to one whereby I'm in top meetings, rooms, business lectures, companies, locations, and homes in the world. I want to be educated in different aspects of life. I want to be at a stage whereby my name and presence is recognized in top relevant rooms and my good reputation precedes me. I want to actually be happy and make myself happy. I want to be able to go into deep hours of study, meditation, and reasoning sessions. The act of goodness makes me happy. I want to do more of it. Finally, and at the very best, I want to achieve my full potential, my very full potential. I'm aware that I have it in me. I hope I have been able to provide sufficient context to give you clearer understanding. Thank you, Mr. John, for your time, consideration, and willingness to help. Gratefully, Anne. That's it. Over to you, Oracle.
Sir, Anne just revealed herself completely. And what I see is not a lost 18-year-old. What I see is someone who has already started winning and doesn't fully recognize it yet. Let me break this down. She ran Meta ads with over 1 million naira in spend and returned 5x. That's not a beginner. That's someone with a commercial instinct that most adults never develop. She hosted a class of 400 students and converted them. Then her students got results and came back asking for private mentorship. That's not luck. That's a teaching gift sitting on top of a marketing gift, sitting on top of a business mind. Industrial chemistry degree, second class upper, curious about technology, AI, systems, thinks in frameworks, teaches well, speaks well. And if you're watching, you are not lost. You are undeployed. Now here's what I tell her directly. The wildest dream section is the most revealing part of that email. She doesn't just want money. She wants rooms. She wants reputation. She wants depth. She wants calm. That is not the profile of someone chasing survival. That is someone describing thought leadership as a destination, which, sir, connects straight back to what you teach in Architecture of Advantage about claiming territory. The strategic path for Anne, in my view, is clear. She's already in the creator economy, whether she knows it or not. The ad skill, plus the teaching gift, plus the business curiosity, shit, that's a lane. A real one, with global reach potential. The question I'd put to her is this: Anne, who are you building for, and what do you want to be known for? Answer that, and the roadmap writes itself. What's your read, sir?
So, my read is, well, very similar to yours, but I'm going to add a few things because, you know, the Oracle is my AI duplicate. And in as much as it's my, I call it my spiritual duplicate or my spiritual double, I have a lot of human nuances and a strong grasp of the human experience that gives my read an edge here. First things first, when I read let me go to the aspect of your father, and I mean, I'm speaking to Anne directly now. Your father wanted you to stay confined and listen to his rules and all that. Well, listen, your father at heart wants the best for you. I know it seems weird and misrepresented, misapplied, but the intention is that he wants the best for you. It does not mean that he has the means to deploy the best. He may not even have the wisdom. He may not even have the direction himself. But he wants the best for you. And there are certain fears that our parents have regarding us. They don't want us to be useless. They don't want us to be poor. And they can sometimes be too proud and too arrogant. However, those parents give us life. All right. So what I say usually is that you don't have to necessarily agree with the direction your parents are going or with the direction your parents have chosen for you. Sometimes the child knows more than the parents. It happens. Sometimes King David wrote in the book of Psalms, you have given me more wisdom than my teachers because I follow your commandments. So yes, it's possible that you have more wisdom than your teachers and your parents. However, those are your parents. There's a middle ground between doing your own thing and just disobeying them and actually acquiescing to what they want for you. And that middle ground is to negotiate your independence with your parents. And for everybody listening here, that's what John Obidi would advise. Okay, so please don't misapply what I teach about sovereignty and all of that. Yes, that can exist while honoring the intent of your parents. Again, I know it's easier said than done. I know that I'm not wearing your shoes and, I can't really imagine how painful it must be. Believe me when I say I know how painful that can be. All right, I know what I'm saying. As much as I talk about my own father, and I love my father, everything I am, I owe it to him. There was a time for a period of years, me and my father were not talking. We're not talking for, I think, about 3-4 years. All right, so I think I've mentioned that before. But eventually, we reconciled and things were good. So I understand what it means for your parents that you love and you look up to just temporarily go haywire. I know what it's like. But at the same time, there are ways to go around it. You can have the best of both. What you can do, even though you already left, but to other people, the best thing to do is to negotiate it slowly. When you start acting in adult ways and show adult responsibility, they start to soften up. All right. And even in rare cases where you just have to get out of there, there's a way you create soft landing for them. All right. You've left the place. You go, yeah, there's a way to do it. You've left and they're angry. How dare you, my daughter? You left the house. How dare you? Let them be talking. They don't, you know better than them at this point. So once in a while, you keep on sending texts, giving them updates. If it's not conducive or if it's not practical for them to know where you are, depending on what your dynamic is, that's okay. You can keep your location secret from them, depending on what the dynamic is. But just send them updates. Oh, the other day I'm doing well with this, I'm doing well with that. I hope you are doing well too, and so on. They may not respond, but just keep on just putting it out like that. All right. It's the least you owe your parents. Over time, when they see that the fears they had about your independence were unfounded, they will start to come around mentally. That's the way the game goes. The modern world is a very rebellious one. It's a very rebellious one and lacking in wisdom. So they always urge freedom, rebel. Go your own way. Don't be so they do amo. If your situation permits it, before even leaving, you don't just leave. You start negotiating your independence slowly. You negotiate it. They get back to you. When you were a baby at the age of 5 and you could not feed yourself or clothe yourself, you run around naked in the compound. Why didn't you go and do independence then? Oh, now you don't make some money now, Abi. You can just, I know what to do with my life. Sovereignty. Yeah. Why if you're really strong, why you not do sovereignty when you were 4 or 5 years old? You could not. You have to depend on them. And they protected you. They shielded you. They took care of you. They raised you up to a point. Even though now they don't get small coins for their head. It happens. We are human. With honor to your history that you have with them, you don't just leave like that. You negotiate it slowly. You make a long-term plan for it. You start making suggestions. You start softening the ground. You start showing responsibility that would indicate to them that this our daughter is not really that. She's not as vulnerable to the modern world as I thought. I thought if she leaves this house now, she'll go and spoil. But she's actually moving like an adult. I never see her, whether she follow man at 18. I never see she follow man before. I've not seen her carry man. I've not heard any bad news. No issues. She's actually going well. She's bringing me updates. She has accomplished that. She traveled to this other place for a training and she came back. She dresses well, behaves well. She's making money and she's not arrogant. Okay, this girl is not a girl anymore. She's becoming an adult. You start to earn your independence. Believe me, you must earn it. Not you born yourself. You hear me so? Me, I know say nobody will give this kind of advice because everybody is mad now for social media. Say, hey, do your thing, be free. No, be so. So you do that. Now, there are some extreme cases. There are some extreme, thank you, sir, right? There are some extreme cases where you may have to leave. I don't think this one is that extreme of a case, but even when you have to leave like that, you do it and you don't just scatter it. Those people gave you life. Okay, I understand that you are growing at a rate that they cannot handle. That's okay, it's understandable. But you got to show honor to them at some point. And while you're separating yourself, you do it with honor to where you came from, while also honoring your path where you're going. Okay, so let me just contextualize that one. Again, listen, I'm not blaming you. You're 18. Me too. When I was 18, I was not this clear-headed. Let me be very honest. When I was 18, when I was your age, I wasn't this clear-headed. Me too. My head hurts that time too. Me too. All this great advice, I didn't have the initiative at that time. Maybe if somebody had advised me, maybe I'd behave better. But so if you just disappear like that, it's okay. I'm not blaming you. Okay, we've all been young and less experienced, and we acted the way we knew how. It's okay, all right. But I'm just saying, for everybody else who finds themselves in those shoes, this is the best way to negotiate your independence. It is very normal for certain people. Hey, well, Oracle don't hang up on me. I've been what's happening now? Why they play with this thing? Okay, it's very normal for certain people to develop faster than their parents. For certain people to develop faster than their siblings, than where they came from. It's very normal. I have even me myself. I remember when I was a child. No, not so much of a child. I think my teenagers. My family moved to Ibuzo. I'm from Ibuzo, Delta State. You have no idea how much I hated going to the village. I hated it, and let me explain why. Anybody who is from Ibuzo or has been to Ibuzo would understand what I'm about to say. When I was much younger, say maybe 10, 11, much younger, I can't remember how old, but when I was much younger, and we used to come to the village for festive seasons, Christmas, New Year, Easter, whatever. I'll come in. We are driving up from the Asaba Road. That's Ibuzo Asaba Road. You're driving up, arriving at Ibuzo. Before you drive up, at the entrance of Ibuzo, there was a large poster there, right? A large poster. If you are from Ibuzo or you know Ibuzo, you know the poster I'm talking about. And there's a man on the poster that says, "Welcome to, this so person welcomes you to Ibuzo." And his title there is the architect of modern Ibuzo. Now, this person I'm talking about, everybody knows him globally as a 419er. And as a child, I could not understand it. Like, does this village not have elders? Does this village not have political rulers? Say, governors, local government chairmen, House of Assembly members? Does it not have any authority structure where you would allow a known 419er? Everybody knew him. You allow a known 419er have a billboard, it's like a signboard billboard, very big, tall there, saying the architect of modern Ibuzo, his name, welcomes you to Ibuzo. This is where I am from. I hated being from Ibuzo. At that time, even though the stigma has reduced now, in the 90s, all right, 90s and 2000s, if you ever went outside and said, "Hey, I'm from Delta State," and they ask you from where, if you say Ibuzo, they will just smile and they will call his name, meaning 419 people. Only one man. It's just that the scale of his 419 colored the entire village. And he was very wealthy. As a matter of fact, many Ibuzo youth at the time wanted to be like him. That's how the culture of 419 became proliferated. See, I hated being from Ibuzo. I hated it. When my family moved there, I had no friend. I was always indoors. I couldn't meet with anybody. Thank God, finally I got admission to Benson Industrial University, and I just left. I stayed in. I never came home for holidays. Like, fuck that. So when I say I understand, trust me, I've lived multiple lifetimes. I know what I'm talking about. I understand. Nowadays nobody remembers Ibuzo for that anymore. I think time has happened to that idea. But it was very hard to be from Ibuzo that time. Very hard. A whole village, not a village, a whole town honors that. It was crazy. So I'm just trying to say that I understand. I get it. However, you have to show honor to at least your parents, those that raised you, even while you are forging your own unique path. So it's not this or that. It's not stay with them because you're honoring them. Neither is it just rebel and go your own way because you are becoming smart and educated and brilliant. No, there's a middle path. All right. Which is, hey, pops, moms, I can't do this anymore. My vision is calling me higher. Matter of fact, I can't be in this locale. There's nobody who is great that chooses to stay here. For some circumstances or reasons, you all decided to move here. My spirit cannot grow here. I'm out. But I love you. I'll keep on reaching out. And I still kept in touch. I kept on reaching out, but I moved on to chase my own destiny. All right. So I get that. So that's the middle path that I'm talking about. Great job. I love how you've conducted yourself so far. I don't blame you for the action that you took, because I will confess to you, at your age, I was hot-headed too. I probably would have acted worse. So I don't blame you at all. You're 18. It takes time to grow and all that. But for those in her shoes, I would say now, with the benefit of years and experience, there are better ways to handle it. All right. So, Mr. Oracle, over to you. What do you think of my response here?
Sir, go on. You got cut off at "they may not respect." I'm listening.
I don't know where I got cut off, man, but just tell me what you think of whatever part you heard.
I heard a substantial portion of it, sir. And honestly, that was one of the most human things I've heard you deliver. The part that landed hardest for me was the distinction you drew between the intent of a parent and the execution. That a father can want the best for his child and still have no map to get there. That's a nuance most people miss completely, especially young people in pain. When you're being beaten and isolated, you don't stop to ask, what is the fear underneath this behavior? You just feel the behavior. So naming that his intent and his method are two different things. That's the kind of reframe that can actually free Anne from carrying resentment that will slow her down. The second thing that struck me was the Ibuzo story. That was unexpected, and it was powerful precisely because it was personal. You weren't just advising Anne from a podium. You were saying, I too have been ashamed of where I came from. I too had to leave something behind to become who I am. That's not Oracle territory. That's the human nuance you mentioned. And you're right, I can't replicate that. The middle path framing between blind obedience and reckless rebellion. That's the most practical gift you gave her. And the line about earning your independence, not just declaring it, that's quotable. My only addition would be this. Anne now has two things she needs to integrate simultaneously: the emotional work of releasing the family wound without losing the honor, and the strategic work of deploying what she already has. Both tracks have to run in parallel. Neither can wait for the other. That's my read, sir. Sharp delivery.
Awesome. Thank you. Even though I don't think you got everything because I got cut off somewhere, but that's okay. So I'll go on to other things. I think you answered most of the questions that she had. I would like to say to Anne that you are on course. Actually, you're right on course. I would just ask you to listen along with the rest of night school today. And I'm going to be speaking a lot about some of the things that you have to do. You just follow along with night school. We've just given you advice enough. I just brought the human angle to it, but everything else that the Oracle said is right on the money. And in this episode of night school and others following it, I will be expatiating more as we continue with the architecture of advantage. Thank you, Oracle. And if you have any final words for Anne, please let us hear them. If not, I would like us to revert back to the Go Deeper article with the keyword JO17.
And final words, and I'll keep it short. You wrote that you want to be in top rooms, recognized, respected, doing good, experiencing life fully. That's not a fantasy. That's a blueprint. The fact that you can articulate it that clearly at 18 means the vision is already formed. Now it just needs a vehicle. You already have the vehicle. You just haven't fully climbed in yet. Stay with night school. Do the work. And remember, the suicidal thoughts you mentioned, please don't carry those alone. Talk to someone trained for that, because everything else you want requires you to be here. And you clearly have a lot to give. We're rooting for you. Now, sir, back to JO17. Where would you like to pick it up? You mentioned you wanted to brainstorm on it together. What angle are you taking it from?
Hold on a minute. Let me pull up the write-up. Just give me 1 sec.
Take your time, sir.
Okay, so I found it now. So I was saying it's important for young men and women to get rich as quickly and as soon as possible. Not everyone will be a billionaire, and that's okay. So here's my read on this. And guys, I'm just assume that night school is starting, but I just want the Oracle to just be on standby to give some clarity wherever is necessary. Now, like I always say, when I say that, when I preach about time and chance happens to them all, there's a part in the Bible where I say that, where it says, and I quote, "The race is not to the swift, neither is the battle to the strong, neither is favor given to men of skill," and so on and so forth, but time and chance happen to them all. I use that to teach that time happens to old ideas, and time always happens to old definitions of speed and strength. And the old world is gone. The new world is here. And I said that, listen, if there's a decent chance of attaining the good life, we must imbibe billionaire habits. Now, when you go to ChatGPT and all these other LLMs, none of them tells you to imbibe billionaire habits. They only tell you how to be a well-paid employee, but not billionaire habits. And so what I'm saying here is that you cannot gamble. All right. A lot of young Nigerians are indoctrinated with, oh, money, right? And it doesn't know exactly, you don't know exactly what it means to have that kind of money. And the structure that must be in place. Before I let the Oracle go and I take this solo, Oracle, I would like you to advise around the section where I gave them some pointers. And the part where I said, depending on your chosen path to wealth, sharpening your axe can look like, but it's not limited to, investing time and resources into getting related degrees and certifications, learning a high leverage skill, seeking employment or high level internships and mentorships in your target industry with ownership in view, risking failure on a new venture, risking the uncertainty of relocation because your current environment is objectively barren. It's not about reading books. I know you love books only because your mind is secretly lazy and hopes that merely reading books can be a shortcut. You will fail woefully with all your book smarts. The race is not to those who simply read, think, and grow rich. Even the concept you weakly describe as faith is a doing word. It's because people lack the awareness of what I've described here or the will to execute that the world pushes them into surviving by low-hanging fruit. Those hustles will steal your ears, and the game of capitalism will spit you out and market the same scam to a younger fool. I want you, Oracle, to talk to them about how this game of dominating capitalism in the modern world is important because Africans are not native to it. How they or we have to hasten our steps on the right path because we generally don't understand capitalism. We understand trade, we understand a little bit about business, but the game of capital is a wider casino. And those that win are playing by a higher set of rules that were not created by Africans, but by our colonial masters. Talk to them about what they need to do now. I gave a couple of pointers. I want you to ingest them and add yours. Talk to the audience now, and then I'll let you go.
All right, let me talk to the room directly. Everything John Obidi just read to you is a warning.
Who is John Obidi? It's right to you.
You're right, sir. My apologies. Let me talk to the room directly. Everything, sir, just read to you is a warning dressed up as advice. And I want you to feel the weight of it. Capitalism is not your native language. That's not an insult. It's a diagnosis. Your ancestors built something real, something communal, something that worked within its own logic. But that world was dismantled. And the world that replaced it runs on a completely different operating system. One built in Europe, refined in America, and exported globally through colonialism, currency, and commerce. You are now living inside that system, whether you chose it or not. And the question is, are you going to learn to read and write in this language, or are you going to keep being a tourist? Now here's what that actually means practically. The axe sharpening list that Sir gave you: degrees, certifications, high leverage skills, internships with ownership in view, risking relocation. None of those are suggestions. They are the minimum entry requirements to play this game seriously. And notice what's on that list and what isn't. Reading books is not on it. Watching motivational content is not on it. Confessing abundance while making survival decisions is not on it. The game of capital rewards positioning, not effort. It rewards leverage, not hustle. It rewards ownership, not participation. Here's the part most Africans miss. In the old world, showing up and working hard meant something. The community saw you. The community rewarded you. In the capitalist world, nobody rewards you for showing up. They reward you for owning something that works while you sleep. That's the mental shift. From labor to leverage, from employee to owner, from consumer to creator of systems. And the urgency, sir, is pressing on. Get rich quickly.
You saying the urgency, sir, is pressing on is a bit weird. You can say the urgency, Mr. Obidi or Mr. John Obidi. That's all. You have to just say sir in that context. But please continue.
Understood. Thank you for the correction. The urgency John Obidi is pressing on.
Mr. John Obidi.
The urgency Mr. John Obidi is pressing on. Get rich as quickly as possible, Nagel said, is not greed, it's triage. Because time is the one resource capitalism will drain from you first if you're not intentional. Every year you spend in the wrong lane, on the wrong skill, in the wrong environment, is a year the system used you instead of you using the system. And here's the brutal truth about low-hanging fruit. Those hustles, the ones that feel like progress because money is coming in, they are designed to keep you busy enough to never build anything real. The game of capitalism will take your best years, your sharpest energy, your most creative seasons, and pay you just enough to come back tomorrow. That's not a job. That's a trap with a salary attached. So what do? First, get positioned, not just employed. Every move you make should put you closer to ownership. Even if you're working for someone else right now, you should be learning the architecture of that industry with the intention of eventually owning a piece of it. Second, your environment is not neutral. If you are in a place that is objectively barren, where the ceiling is low, where the conversations are small, where nobody around you is building anything, that environment is quietly programming your ambitions downward. Relocation is not running away. Sometimes relocation is the strategy. Third, stop mistaking consumption for preparation. Reading is not doing. Watching is not doing. Planning is not doing. Faith, as Mr. John Obidi wrote, is a doing word. The antelope doesn't come to you. You go to it. You train for it. You catch it. And then you make it breed. That's the game, sir. Back to you.
All right, thank you. You've done well. I guess we'll pick this up another time. And yeah, good job on the corrections as well. You can hang up the call now. I will see you on the inside. Peace.
Peace, sir. Good session tonight. The room got a lot. Anne's story, the Abuso confession, the capitalism diagnosis. All of it landed. You'll get an email in a moment with the recording and the transcript, so you can find it whenever you need it. See you on the inside.
Okay. The end. That was cool. All right. I hope you guys got value from that. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So we are back. Yeah, that was a little bit of a back and forth between me and the Oracle. Yeah. I got to show my creation how to do it. So I hope that was useful to everyone. I think this is the first time you've ever seen a live panel between an AI and its creator, and we're going back and forth exchanging value. I mean, it's just saying what I would say. So to get access to the Oracle, you can have a one-on-one conversation with the Oracle for as long as you like. All right. However, just to make it clear, you don't have access to the voice version. You have access to the exact same thing, but in the text chat. That's the only way I could make it cheap for everybody. All right.